Look, yeah, I'm sick of hearing people saying that Jesy Nelson is blackfishing, and I'm sick and tired of black people going on and on and on about, oh, people stealing our culture and so on and so forth, and not addressing our own internal problems. And the other thing that I'm sick and tired of is people going along with the narrative just because somebody said something, and then not giving the other person the opportunity to do the same. Hello and welcome to Queendom TV, and today I'm talking about Jesy Nelson, and I'm going to start off by talking about the fact that, first things first, I was thinking back into the history of Jesy Nelson. Let's start from the beginning, and let me bring you to how I got to these conclusions. If we look at where they started, Little Mix, for those of you who don't know, some of you who are either don't remember what happened at the time or are not living in the United Kingdom, they were on, let me see, I think it's X Factor. Yeah, X Factor. Sorry, I've got the video up because I was just watching their auditions, which is where I'm going to start. In their audition tapes, you'll see that they each individually, how Little Mix came together in the first place. And this is very important, by the way. You might think I'm not saying anything important, but there's a reason why I'm talking about this. When they first came together, they were each 4 individual soloists who the judges had different perspectives of different ones of them. And they decided to put them together as a group. That's what they did on X Factor, and they've done on X Factor. That's how we got One Direction. They find all these different people and they put them together and they create them into a group. Now, I think it's very important to say that from this moment and already, there were already the signs, sorry, you know, the stuff happening outside, it's live, move on, we'll be fine. We all managed with background noise on Zoom, you'll manage with background noise on YouTube. Right, great. So the thing that I want to talk about here is, we've got to think about the fact that at the end of the day, these girls were put together, right? They had an intention of going out on a solo career from the outset, right? All of them. None of them had come in a group. Let's start from there. And so even with Jesy, we've got to remember that whatever identity we know of them as a group is not necessarily the identity any one of them individually wanted to present to the world, because as a group, you have to have a brand. You know, everybody talks so much about this, that was on or off brand. You know, everything is so much about the aesthetics, things making sense, you know, the synchronicity of everything. So I'm pretty sure that for all of them, there were levels of compromise they had to make in terms of being a part of that group to actually be a group that we can know as Little Mix, if you know what I mean. And I think even in the name Little Mix, they're a mixture, do you know what I mean, of different kinds of people. And I think that's the seed where we can start to see how I feel like we got to this point with Jesy Nelson today. Now, the thing that stood out to all of us, whether you want to pretend that you knew it or you didn't, and I'm not saying it necessarily bothered you, but you know, Jesy spoke a lot from the beginning about how people treated her as a result of the fact that, you know, when she had started out in the group, she was like, you know, the biggest girl of all of them. Not that she was fat, but she was the biggest girl of all of them, you know, and that has been a running thing. And I think that from the beginning probably and throughout is something that she probably had to go through, which we all know, and we've all, you know, like I said, a lot of us have felt bad for her in that way, or, you know, not been happy that people have treated her that way. But that is something that she dealt with alone, and I feel like that's just an inkling, a little foresight, not a foresight, a little like picture for us of what could be going on behind closed doors with them. Because I know a lot of people right now online are saying they don't want to talk about things unless they've been unless the information's out there already. They're only going to talk about things, they don't want to expose things. Well, I'm not in the business of doing that, because you know what, the last time we did that, now Britney Spears has been in conservatorship for 13 years because we were all believing the media and going off what some people were saying, and we weren't bothering to actually look at the person who was being victimized and think about why is this all happening, and look at some of the small little signs about what could actually be going on, which are some of the things I'm going to discuss now and I'm going to get into, right? So this is a small thing I think that's already saying to me that she already from that point was probably thinking, was probably wondering how much worth it this was for her, in terms of, is it that worth? And again, I'm speculating, by the way, but I feel like we're allowed to do this, because if we'd done, like I said, if we'd done this with Britney, look where we could have been maybe even 10 years ago, maybe even she wouldn't, do you know what I mean? So anyway, I've explained that point, you get it now. So I'm thinking from that point, she's probably already thinking about the fact that she sticks out. She's already probably wondering about this solo thing. But now she's obviously a part of this group, and she probably didn't want to let the girls down. And this is another thing that people will have to realize. When people break away from groups, or they choose to move away, a lot of the time they're met with so much backlash. But do you know what I think to myself as well? I think, imagine how hard it actually is to do that. Because they probably do care. I don't know why we have this, with this like, this thing where we can assume that for some people they're obviously doing the best, so we can assume that all the other 3 girls of Little Mix are innocent and doing the best, but then we're quick to assume that Jesy is the one who's the enemy and who's the villain in the situation. Why can't we make considerations for her and consider that maybe it was hard for her to leave? Maybe it was a really important decision. We've all talked so much about mental health, and this is why I say all the time on my channel that I find it irritating that we speak so much about mental health and throw all these mental health days, and yet we continue as a society to perpetrate such negative behaviors in the area of mental health. Because even if you disagree with all of this, she doesn't need this much backlash. Do you know what? Even if what she's doing is offending you, you don't have to address it. There's so many people online who do things I don't like, and guess what? I don't address it. I don't say anything. The only reason I'm talking about all of these things is because I've realized that sometimes there is no voice that's speaking for the people that are not being spoken for, and I'm going to speak for the people who are not being spoken for. That's always been something that I've always done, and that's something that I will always do. So anyway, Jesy's obviously she could be feeling the one, like, you know, maybe she's probably from then was already thinking about separating herself because she's already feeling separated, right? And I can imagine that, you know, imagine being her, imagine being somebody, right? Think of an insecurity you have. We all have something that we've been in a situation where we're one thing and everybody else is an opposite thing to what we are, and they can try their very best to try and be understanding, but they just don't get it. So again, with the Black people thing, as Black people, yes, you can have a white person can tell you however many times they love white, they will love Black people, they don't care, you know, they can convince you as much as they can that they're not racist. That does not change the fact that at the end of the day, they're not Black, they're not going to know the Black experience. And so I feel like this is what Jesy's kind of gone through with just from that point already. So as time has gone on, I feel like she lost the weight, whether she wanted to or not, because, you know, not everybody needs to be tiny and slim. I don't think she necessarily looked bad, in my opinion. I think she kind of suited the vibe that she was going with, you know what I mean? She, like, as in her body, I mean, kind of suited the vibe that she was going with, as in the vibe I got from her. And this is looking at her audition, me looking at her audition, not her as Little Mix, which is now a constructed group with a specific branding angle and a purpose that other people are deciding and having a heavy influence on. I'm talking about what she wanted to bring to the table from the beginning, right? So she lost weight, and I reckon, my personal opinion, she probably felt like maybe this will solve things. Maybe if I lose weight, I'll just meld in. I feel like I'm melding into this group even more, and I can, you know, and then things will be better, perhaps, and maybe people will stop bothering me. And if people stop bothering me, then maybe the girls trying to, you know, be there and understand might become less of a thing. Again, I'm speculating, but let's just run with it, because we're happy to speculate and say all these bunch of things about her, so about so many people in the world. So I'm going to speculate on her behalf as well, and in a good light for her, as opposed to in a negative light, as a lot of people are. So let's say that that's the case. Let's say that she's had her weight loss, and that was a big thing, you know, and a lot of people, when she came out, and that's when she really spoke a lot more again. So she's highlighting that this has been a real big thing for her go through, and it's a very individual thing. You haven't really seen as big of an individual story for any of the Little Mix girls, which again to me is a signal that what she was a part of was not still fully fulfilling her and what she wanted and what she wanted to do, right? And so you have that. So the next step now, I think eventually she realized she couldn't stick up with this anymore, and she's decided to leave the group. And I think that made sense for her. And I think this is the problem now. This is where the problems come, because you see what, like, and this is why I'm talking about mental health, because when people make a decision that's right for them, and it's really right for them, even if they've already done every single other thing that they could have for the people who they're leaving, people will still have a problem with you, because it's like you're the one who broke up the group. And we all feel like that. Don't get me wrong, we're all going to feel like that. I felt a way about Little Mix breaking up in that way, because I didn't listen to all their songs, but there's a few of their songs that I did really like, you know. So for me, it was kind of like, oh, but, you know, I was also like, if this is what she needs, I kind of thought, there was also the part of me that was like, if this is what she needs, this is what she's got to do. Like, you got to do what you got to do, girl, because at the end of the day, like, she's got to live her own life in the same way you got to live your life, in the same way that we're all fighting for our rights to be able to do things, and everyone wants to have the right to do what they want to do with their body. They want to have the right to love who they want to love. Why doesn't she have the right to leave a group that she does not feel is good for her, and just things just be fine, right? She doesn't get that. And why? Because in this world, we pick and choose what's okay. And this is what I hate about the media, because I've been listening to everything everybody has to say about this situation, and I'm getting sick, and I'm so annoyed, like, to the point where I was watching one YouTuber talking about this and basically saying, you know, how Jesy should have done this, like literally saying how Jesy, this whole situation is Jesy, it's going to look really bad on the rest of Little Mix, and she should think about how it's affecting their career. Why don't they think about how them talking about her blackfishing is affecting her career? But they don't care about that, do they? They don't care about that. They care because we now have decided, we as a society always decide we want to take one side. And a lot of the time it's guided by things that are being said and things that are being manipulated. And that's why I'm speaking up, because I feel like there's a massive element of manipulation here. So Jesy is left. Now Jesy's come up with this video, and I noticed she was making a big deal about this video. That's why I watched it. And that's why I don't know why I really feel like it's probably God was highlighting this video to me, like, because she kept saying about this video, to the point where even though I wasn't listening to Little Mix, I don't really listen at the moment, I'm not really listening to like that kind of music, like even I kept seeing it and I was like, when this video comes out, I'm gonna have to listen to it. I'm gonna have to listen to it, because I was like, I'm seeing her pushing it so much, and it was almost like I could feel like this was a big moment for her, because she's talking about it, she's talking about it. So I've watched this video. I've watched the video. I didn't mind the song, you know. I didn't have any issues with it. Me, myself, I didn't have any issues with it. But the thing that stuck out to me was obviously Diddy being there, because I think that, you know, if for those of you who kind of understand, you know, the spiritual element of things that go on in the world and in Hollywood, I very much felt like, and not even just the spiritual, but just the business side of things, for Diddy to be knocking on her door and be her next door neighbor, to me was a sign of what is going on in Hollywood as far as Jesy is concerned, as in, that group of people, that level of people are taking her in. That's what that's signifying. And then obviously Nicki doing the track with her. I don't think that's by accident, by any stretch, that they are showing that, especially Nicki Minaj being the controversial character that she is right now. I kind of sense that Jesy has gone, you know what? I was trying to find people that loved me and understood me and accepted me for the way that I was, and let me be who I wanted to be, because that's what we're supposed to be allowed to do right now. But it wasn't happening. And in behind the scenes, from what we haven't been seeing, these guys are probably observing and thinking, we kind of like her. We think she's got talent. We think she's got something. And we want to bring her in. We know what she's going through. And I think kind of that's where Nicki was at, because I really feel like Nicki is that kind of person, yeah. And they brought her in. And I think that's how we got to Boys. And I think that's why for Jesy, she was so excited about pushing this song out, because it's like, finally, I get to be who I want to be. Finally, I'm not under this group, under this label where I have to, all the optics, because you think even with like, people keep saying, oh, she says she likes bad boys, but look at her exes. How many of you are living a life that is a true lie to yourself? If you want to be really real, if you think about something that you really love deep down, right? Maybe it's that deep down you always wanted to be an engineer, but you settled to be, and I don't use the word settled because I don't think settling is personal, because everybody has different gifts and talents, right? But so let's say you wanted to be an engineer, but instead you settled to be a doctor because that's what your family wanted, right? You are, even if you're an engineer, people can't say to you, oh, well, how can you say you want to be a doctor now when you've been working as an engineer? Well, maybe there's a reason. There's a reason that you've been working as a doctor. There's a reason why you've been playing up to that thing, because of, maybe it's because of what people are saying. Maybe it's because you were told. Maybe it's because you were convinced that that was going to be the best way forward, and you were going to forget your dreams of being an engineer, of being being an engineer, right? Maybe people, you realize that there was more money being a doctor, and everyone's telling you that there's more money. And do you know what I mean? There's so many different reasons. So I don't understand why people are so shocked. These things happen, in my opinion, and especially because of the fact that there was Nicki Minaj and Diddy in the video. That suggests to me that this is a real serious issue for her, as in she's finally getting to do what she wants to do. And I watched the backstage. You see me, yeah? I'm open-minded. I watched the backstage stuff about her like into how she was, what do you call it? Her auditioning the dancers, the male dancers for the video. So she auditioned them herself, you know, and there's a behind the scenes video of that, and you guys should watch it, because you can see in there how dedicated, how much this was a passion thing for her. It was a real passion thing. She was talking about how she loves to dance, and in fact, she might even love to dance more than she loves to sing, you know. And so this was a big deal for her to be able to have this kind of dancing and have these guys in the video and be able to select them. She was crying. She said she was so happy, you know, and all of this stuff. So to me, this is very much her now walking in what's good for her. But as is what always happens in society, unless what's good for you is what's good for society and what society thinks is good for you, then you're going to get cancelled and people are going to be mad. And now let's get to this blackfishing thing. Let's talk about the blackfishing thing. Let's talk about it, because you know why? First things first, yeah. Actually, before we even get to the blackfishing thing, let's talk about the fact that Leanne, for whatever particular reason, to this guy, and I cannot for the life of me remember right now as I'm filming this video, and maybe that's because I'm not supposed to remember right now because it doesn't matter, decided that with all that was going on, to message this guy who clearly stated he was a fan of Little Mix, and I think he said he did a video dancing to Boys, right? I think she said something like, you should instead make a video about how she's blackfishing. So you see what I mean? Like, to me, that's crazy, because why would you say something like that? If you have a genuine problem with someone, right? Why, and you cared about them at some point, the normal thing to do, and when I say normal, I mean the caring thing to do, is to say, you know what, I'm going to love you from a distance. I'm going to let you show the world who you are on your own. I'm not going to change who I am as a person, because then I'm just as bad as you, right? That's why you don't sink down to people's levels. But instead, she's decided to go out of her way to say to this guy, oh, I think you should make a video about you should be talking about the fact that she's blackfishing, which of course Leanne can try and say that, by the way, because she's the darkest, the most person of color in the group. But also, to me, it seems like that's that's a very industry kind of thing to do, like an industry tactic. I feel like the PR team, seeing that Jesy was doing so well and seeing that she's probably going to like overtake the rest of Little Mix in a heartbeat, because she basically has, I mean, she had Diddy in the video and she had Nicki Minaj there like doing a track with her, and these guys were clearly in support of her. You could see that they were in full support, even the way Diddy had his little moment to like talk to her. I think that they are scared and they want to cut her before they know, and this is the thing, guys, this is how you know, this is how the devil works, I feel like, yeah. When people know that they're you might not know somebody is about to be exposed, but they know they're about to be exposed because they know what they've done. And I feel like as a part of Jesy's journey, I feel like they're scared now that she's going to be able to make the rest of them look bad, and maybe the label that they were, maybe the PR people she was originally with, and all those guys from Little Mix. And so what they want to do is make us all believe bad things about her before she's even started, right? So that whatever happens, we don't believe what she says, and we think that it's all a result of all of this. And Jesy even said herself, you know, when she was responding, she said, you know what, I am very appreciative of Black culture. I grew up around Black culture. Maybe that's something she's not been able to talk about before, because she's been in Little Mix, which, let's be honest, Little Mix is a white group. It is a white group for the most part. Do you know what I mean? I don't see Leanne coming in there with you know, coming in with some big afros and, you know, and or some bantu knots and, you know, wearing like, you know, the proper like anything to really show herself to be like fully Black. Like, not to say that she's not Black. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying, let's be honest, it's not about being like a Black cultured group. They're very much a pop group, a pop girl group from the United Kingdom, right? And that's what they've been created to be. So I really feel like she genuinely is saying, you know what, I do appreciate some things. And I looked at what she was doing. I don't think she's appropriating. And like I was going to say, and I'll get to this blackfishing thing now, which is very distasteful, by the way, for them to say that. And I think they're just scared. But with the blackfishing thing anyway, let's address that. If Nicki Minaj was darker skinned, yeah, if Nicki Minaj was darker skinned, would we be suggesting that Jesy is blackfishing? Would we? That's what I want to know, because the thing is with this whole blackfishing thing is, and even race and colorism, is there's two sides to the coin with us Black people. Well, there's the one side of the coin where we're fighting for our people and we want to be justice and all of this and this and that. And I'm going to come to why I think this is kind of still a bit unhelpful the way we're going about this. But then there's another part to this where I'm thinking, don't forget the other side of the coin where we ourselves as Black people prioritize lighter skinned Black people. So if Nicki Minaj had been darker skinned in this video, which there have been rumors or thoughts or opinions that she has skin lightened over the years, would we even be able to say that she's blackfishing? Do you see what I'm saying? Would we even be able to say that if it was Alexandra Burke? Let's use Alexandra Burke because she's somebody who, for me, is very clearly on the she's not dark skin, but she's definitely like Black, not light skinned. You know? Would we be suggesting that Jesy was blackfishing? No, we probably would not be. And that's my point. My point is, this is why us as Black people shoot ourselves in the foot constantly, over and over again, because we can't have it one way and not have it the other. We can't keep trying to be upset about people using our culture, being culture vultures or trying to talk about that, when at the same time, we are still not loving ourselves for who we are. That's the problem, guys, here, in my opinion, as well. And just to finish off my points about all of this, specifically, I'd just like to say as well that to the Black people, let's stop getting onto every single bandwagon that sounds like it's to do with BLM or Black Lives Matter or anything. Because I tell you something, this again is working against us. Right now, Leanne accusing Jesy Nelson of blackfishing is going to work against Little Mix. And let me tell you why. Because for those of us in the public who feel like we're all activists and stuff, yeah, we might give her the validation that she wants and seeks. But I'll tell you something, when it comes to these big companies out there, when it comes to the people with the big money who have power in the industry, they're not going to work with, they don't want to work with people who are going to become a social action issue and be cancelled and then have them cancelled and all their money wasted. They don't want to do that. So now you're making the, again, even from doing that, it's not helping anyone. You're saying it's not helping Jesy, obviously, from the blackfishing, but now she's going to have the covering, because if the likes of people like Diddy and Nicki Minaj and all those people say that they want to bring her in, then they're going to be able to do that, aren't they? And then they're going to be able to support her regardless. And if they feel like it's worth it, they're going to go for it anyway. And it's probably going to work out because they know what they're doing. And Diddy has so much skin in the game, more skin in the game than Little Mix. He's been out there for longer. He's helped and built and been a part of so many different careers, yeah? So you can't deny that he's got power in the industry. So now Little Mix is now shooting themselves in the foot in the same way that I think a lot of us black people shoot ourselves in the foot when we talk too much. I've said this before, and I get annoyed looking through the comments, even when I'm looking on the comments on Instagram and I'm looking at all these, you know, like the channels where we get updated about stuff like the pages where we get updated about stuff like this on Instagram. And I'm looking through the comments, I'm just seeing black person after black person after black person. I'm like, when are we going to be silent? And I did a video about this, so you can check that out if you guys want. When are we just going to be silent and let the people who we are fighting for speak for themselves? Because if we keep speaking up so quickly, we're never going to know when the changes are actually happening, number one, because we'll never be able to see if our allies or people claiming to be our allies are actually doing anything. But number two, we're shooting ourselves in the foot because no one's going to work with us, not even because we're black, but just because they don't want to have a social action issue attached to their business and it become all about that, you know? And so having said all of that I've just said, this is why I really don't agree with anything a lot of people are saying right now about Jesy Nelson. I feel like this is actually a learning opportunity, and the fact that people again are being quick to just go along with what the rest of the Little Mix are saying and accusing Jesy of blackfishing and doing whatever and ignoring these little signs and details. Like I said, this little thing of why does Leanne have to say she's why does Leanne have to say you should say that she's blackfishing? Why? Somebody's putting that out there on purpose, I feel like. You know, why are people so, why is Diddy and Nicki Minaj, why are they in the video? You could just say that it's because it's a good collab, but I'm looking at it, let's look deeper. Is it because they really want to take her in and they've seen, they're like, wow, where you were, you didn't need to be there? Because this is what I feel like. I feel like if we were to listen into the first call, the calls between like Diddy and Nicki Minaj and Jesy, they were like, you know, we've been watching you guys for a while. As soon as we heard you were out, we've been seeing your talent. You should have never been there. Those guys, they weren't good for you. She's probably been able to tell them everything. She's probably feeling so on top of, and I feel like right now it's mad because you see how in the past everything was affecting her like a lot more, what the media was saying. Now it's not affecting her. And do you know why I think that is? Because she's finally getting to live in her own truth, and she knows, yeah, you know what, I've spoken to people know me and they know my story, and people have finally acknowledged me and understood me in the way I've needed them to. So, and now I don't even care what you people have to say. And she's getting on with it and she's happy. And I think good for you, sis. But anyway, that's all I've got to say. Please let me know what you guys think, because so many people think opposite to me. And right now I feel like I'm the only person thinking this. And I really want to know if there's anybody else seeing things the way I am. But also, I really want to hear from you if you disagree with me, because maybe, you know, I could be wrong still. And a lot of what I said is speculation, but I think it's important to speculate because, like I said, there are so many people who we're now discovering years and years later we failed in the beginning because we didn't speak up and we didn't stop to ask the questions nobody else was asking. And so that's what I'm doing. If you've enjoyed this and you enjoyed this type of content, then please subscribe to my channel. Please subscribe to my channel. If you, of course, I've already said, let me know in the comments what you think, and definitely hit that like button to let me know that you've liked this. And other than that, I'll catch you in the next one. I probably will continue to talk about this as things unfold, because I feel like this is not the end. I feel like this is the beginning. So yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. It's been great to have you all, and I'll see you next time.